So I heard mental health.
Yeah,
That's
I said a lot.
Yeah.
No, yeah, she did say a lot.
No, but mental health is one thing. But I don't know how much people value mental health
Back home.
Yeah. But is it something that it's like, man, that ain't nothing serious? That's weak American Western.
Yeah. What is depression?
What is depression? Depression don't exist to my dad. He's like,
be anxious.
what is depression? I mean, what are you depressed about? You grew up here.
You grew up here. You have everything on your.
You have everything you need. Everything we didn't have, and you weren't depressed.
See that? Yeah. So I mean, that's one of the differences. Our parents don't see. It's like appreciate everything. There are people that would die to be here in your place, so appreciate it. That kind of thing, which is understandable, right? I mean, because this is the land of opportunity. We're here, and we have to appreciate what we have. There are people that would kill to do anything to even be here.
That's true.
So mental health is a lot of Americans talk about mental health a lot. So why is it that our people back home don't really take mental health serious, or just like Patrick said, it's not a thing, or it doesn't exist? So why do you think they don't take it serious?
I think because it's. I think in Africa, it's way more religious, which is not a bad thing. Yeah, okay, I think that sometimes being mad is associated to demons. There's a demonic entity that has possessed you, right? And there's not an approach to it in a scientific manner, in a more logical manner. But that's not their fault. There's a lack of what's the word? If you think something is bad, you don't want to study about it, right? So so I think it's more so associated to that. We're not going to learn about something that we think is demonic, and we think that if somebody's mad, something must have possessed them. So I think that's why. In my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the lifestyle just doesn't allow for mental health issues. When I say that, I wanna think of my grandmother, she could almost be 90 right now. And if I look at a woman that's 90 in America, they're in an old age home because your kids grew up and they left you. And they went about their own lives. And even though you can't do a lot for yourself, your kids are paying for a nursing home for you to be in there. And you're just sitting there and you're all alone, and there's a bunch of other old people, and then there's other nurses. And, how can you not be depressed? How can you not have anxiety? How can you not have all these feelings? Compared to my grandmother, who right now, okay, maybe with the time difference, but I know that if I call her during the day, I won't find her idle. She'll be telling me, I've gone to the market to go buy something, and I've gone to the market to go do this, or I need to make sure that I cook, or I need to, she just stays active all the time. In her mind, she's always active. In whatever she's doing, physically, she's just always active. There's always something going on that she has to do, in all hours of the day. And she doesn't let the day just go, and she sits and doesn't do anything. And mind you, all her kids are out of the house. But they didn't put her in a home. They left her to stay in her house, but she still stayed active, doing things. And sometimes her kids will come and visit and stay for some time. They don't just leave her alone, So I think the lifestyle itself, I understand this is my grandmother. She's an older person. Even if you are your young self, back home, I think I don't really think I got depressed back home, because you'd wake up in the morning, you'd know I have to go to work, I have to do this, and I've got to do school, and there's always people around. It's not like you're constantly alone all the time. Back home, there was your friends there, you've got your family. The minute you want to start crying, somebody's gonna stop you and be like, hey, why are you crying? Why? We need to eat. Focus. Hello, make food. So there's just the lifestyle itself just didn't. Yes, I know, back home, we still, relationship problems were still there. All these other things that you have in America, they're still there. But the lifestyle itself kept you so busy that you didn't have time to be depressed. And if you got anxious, something would happen that would make you focus on other things for you to not focus on your anxiety. So I don't know. And Decembers were always lit. Decembers are not lit in this country.
I agree.
I just don't know.
Patrick, can you agree?
I can't agree.
You can't relate. That's the problem.
Yeah, I can't relate.
You don't know December back home. It's because it's cold in this country in December, but in December back home, it's warm. It's
fun.
summer. It's summer back home.
Yeah.
I did want to ask. Yeah. So I want.
I think never gonna. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
I want to hear about the mental health thing. Like, what are your take on that mental health? First.
Well, to repeat what she said about the difference between a 90-something-year-old lady living in America and a 90-something-year-old living back in Africa. So America, me, I've been living here, and I noticed that America has an individualistic culture. And back in Africa, there's communalism.
That's true.
Communal living, where they are family, they are friends.
True.
And if you are lonely, you have your neighbors that will check up on you.
True.
Unlike in America, you can live in your apartment, and if you don't come out for 1 or 2 weeks, nobody knows. Unless maybe you have family or friends that will call, and then they can't get you. But in Nigeria, if your neighbor don't see you for 1 week or even 3 days, they'll knock at the door. Hey, Mama no so.
Yeah.
Are you inside the house? Where are you? And most people do everything themselves here in the US. If you want to throw a party, if you don't have friends, you throw that party yourself. If you want to take picture, if you don't have friends, you go buy a tripod and take your pictures yourself with a remote.
Yeah.
But when you live back home, you have friends, you have acquaintances, you have family members, you have cousins that come visit, play with you. So when you're in that community, mental health is frowned upon, because why will you have mental health in Nigeria when you have these communal resources around you? Why are you depressed? Go outside and touch grass. There's sun every day, vitamin D. But here in America, there's vitamin D, but you're not experiencing the vitamin D. You're inside your car with AC on. You're in your house with AC on. Low vitamin D. But in Nigeria, I'm sure they have high vitamin D when you go do their lab work, because there's no AC like that. You go out and there's sun. Jump from bus to bus and you're finding yourself. So why will you be depressed?
Exactly. There's so much to keep you mentally occupied.
Yes.
Think about being depressed.
I think it's just the difference of community. That's why mental health is frowned upon back home, and it's something that people pay attention to in the US because of the individualistic lifestyle in America.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to add to that is, I think back home things are hard enough. The economy is bad. Presidents aren't leading the country well. So like you don't have time to come and sit around and be like, oh, I'm depressed, because you're looking for like your daily bread, right? And also, I mean, your parents, like, the basic training is there's no depression. So I think the economy itself pushes you to just be resilient, and so that awareness of the importance of like mental health is not there.
So we have I have this discussion with my cousins and stuff. So how would y'all, somebody says I'm going through a mental health issue, like I experience, no, let's make it on the normal side. I'm just so depressed because I feel lonely. I need to take medications to get rid of my depression. And I believe, like, like, let's say somebody said, or I need to go see let's not even do meds. Let's say I need to go see a therapist, which for me, I'm kind of like, some of my cousins did therapy, and I'm like, what? We African, man, we don't need therapy. So I don't know what for those who would you say true talk? Yeah. We're African, so what is therapy? But I would get crucified and be like, what? No, you need therapy. Don't undervalue therapy. This and that. Right. But it's like, that's how we came up. Like, okay, number one, I can't be depressed. Number two, if I am depressed, it's like you said, go touch grass. You know what I'm saying? Like go do something. Right. Or number three, the last thing I'm thinking of is therapy. So I'm thinking like that's a Western thing. That's to the point where I think it's like, man, you too Westernized a little bit. Right. You lost yourself a little bit. But it's going to be different amongst those born here who grew up versus those who are not. I would love to hear feedback on both sides, because I don't know.
Yeah, I think, back home, just like they were saying, we have a community, right? Back home, you're not alone. You have family. Back home, an average person had a maid. You don't need to be rich to have a maid.
Right.
In an average household, you have a maid that cooks and cleans, takes care of the kids. So that way, it relieves the pressure of having to do everything. But in the U.S., you do everything. In the Igbo culture, we have this thing called omugo, which means like the mom, when a woman gives birth, the mom will come to take care of the kid. But here in the U.S., she's alone. The mom doesn't have to come. She can come, but even if she wanted to come, she's too busy working. Everybody's working. Everybody's to themselves. So I think that's what causes depression. People just being lonely, feeling alone. You can see someone, they'll be in the middle of a bunch of people smiling, laughing. You think, oh man, that person, they're happy. But then when they go home, they're depressed, they're alone. They go home to their apartments, lonely apartments, living alone. So that's another thing, living alone here is so common. You go to most apartments is occupied by single people who are just living alone with their dogs and cats. But back home, we live, either you are married. If you're not married, you're living with your family member, you're living with a maid, you're living with somebody, cousin, roommate, classmate, somebody. So it's very common to live with family or live with people. So there's no room for someone to fall into depression because they have people to help them out. Because life has a lot of challenges. We're not supposed to go through life alone. So I think that's in the US. It's so common. Everybody's alone. So that leads to depression. Right?
True.
So does that answer your question?
But if somebody is feeling that way, would you say go get community or go to therapy?
Community, bro, honestly. I mean, therapy can only do so much. I mean, what can drugs do for you? It's only temporary relief, right? And then after that, you're back to where you were.
So therapy, no.
I think community, having people around you.
So you're against therapy?
I'm not against Patrick. I am not against, for the record, I'm not against therapy or therapists. No. But I think at the end of the day, even if you go get therapy, you go meet your doctor, you go home to that loneliness at home, and that depression is gonna seep back in.
Okay, I got a follow-up question. I'll let everybody speak to it though, but I got a follow-up question.
I feel.
Come forward, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, I feel like you're very right. You're very right, Kingsley. Like, if people have community, they don't feel like they need therapy. But I'm gonna speak from a personal point of view because I was like first year in America when I got here and I realized how lonely it is.
Yeah.
Like if you're not lonely. Like everybody's just working, my parents working, everybody's just working, and then I got alone. And then it's not like you call for it to come. It's not like you're like, hey depression, where are you? Let me just come get you. No. It seeps in slowly by itself. And then later on, like I just started feeling depressed and having anxious thoughts and having panic attacks. And then I had to be like, what's the solution now? If I go talk to my mom about it, we're gonna be praying for 7 days and 7 nights and fasting. So I was like, okay, maybe I can try that too. But like at the end of the day, like I would never say no to a person that wants to go to therapy because I've tried it. Like I've tried therapy, and it has downsides too. Sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Sometimes you meet a therapist, and what's so crazy is the therapist I had was an American. So now when I'm telling you that this is the problem I'm facing,
they don't get it
at home, he's like, why don't you just move out? And I'm like, you don't understand. I like being at home, but I'm just having this problem. Let's just talk about it. And he's like, no, you're a grown person. Go live by yourself.
That was what I was going to go. I was going to go right there, but I was going to wait. I was going to wait, but I was going to go there.
And where he's coming from, he's not wrong. Because that's what happens in this country.
Yeah.
That's when you turn 18, gone.
Yeah.
Get out. I was 19 and still getting disciplined. Back home.
Wow.
Here it's like you're 18, you should leave the house.
I stopped at 14.
So I that's where I feel like the therapy will not work. But if you find yourself a therapist that is aligned with your own culture, like it's really important, because otherwise it won't work. Your own cultural views, your own religious views, everything, then maybe you can actually find and then if you really take time to think about it, you can find that person within family. You can find that person within
Within your
community
family, yeah,
too.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
I would never say no to community, but then again, sometimes you go, you tell this auntie, next thing you know, your mom knows everything. Next thing you're like, there's that problem too.
Yeah.
So sometimes you might need to find an outsider. You just need to find an outsider that's, you know, aligned and you can talk. Because what it is just, it's to talk, right? To communicate and let everything that's inside you come out, like all the bad, and then you feel free. So, yeah.
Does anyone have anything to add before?
Is it weakness for men? Would you see it as weakness for men if they're like, man, I'm going to therapy?
For me, I would say.
Hold the mic closer.
Oh, okay. For me, I would say it's not. It's up to the man. If it's an elderly man, definitely go for therapy. But if you're in your mid-20s, 30s, why you need therapy? I mean, you can go do something else. I'm a very avid believer of Christ, right? And my Bible taught me that if you are going through depression, anxiety, that is of the devil. That is not of God.
Yeah.
You know, let's say you want to go into something. You want to say okay, let me just give you the scenario. You apply for 2 jobs, all right? The first one calls you, the second one calls you. And this second one that calls you is telling you, oh, I'm going to offer you 100K. The first one says, I'm going to offer you 70K. Now, you as a person, you choose 100K. I'm just saying, you as a person, you choose 100K. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
You as a person, you choose 100K, not knowing that if you go on your knees and pray to God, and that God is going to reveal things to you. Most people don't know. He's going to reveal things to you that you should go for the 70K job because on the long run, that's going to benefit you. And the reason why most Americans suffer depression, anxiety, is because a lot of them do not go to church. I put that out there. A lot of them don't have joy. They're not they're joyful people. You can come across someone and just, hello, how you doing? Just talk to themselves. Why? The average Nigerian, you go on the street and you're approaching, Baba, what's going on? The vibes is there.
True. Yeah.
I'm telling you. So with this depression of a teen, to my point, if a man tells me he's going through depression, I will go away from you. I don't have nothing to tell you. I'm going to tell you, hey, go read your Bible, and if you're not willing to do that, I'm sorry, I have nothing to say. I'm out.
Straight up. Straight up.
Go read the Bible, no therapy.
Okay. Okay.